In his campaign, Woodrow Wilson pledges to do a number of things. In general, he pledges to fight the evils of society. Specifically, he's interested in lowering tariffs, breaking up trusts, reforming the banking system, decreasing the gap between the rich and the poor, reforming health care, reforming corrupt government, and also giving women the right to vote. With regard to tariff and taxes, Wilson addresses Congress in person using bully pulpit tactics similar to Roosevelt. And Wilson is the first president to address Congress since Madison's 1812 war message. So as a result of that, tariffs were lowered for the first time since the Civil War. This is known as the Underwood Tariff, which substantially lowers taxes, and an income tax provision was included. All of this is allowed by the 16th Amendment, and the income tax became the main source of government income. Wilson addresses Congress a second time in favor of establishing the Federal Reserve. The government, he argues, needs to be able to control the supply of money so that the money supply can keep up with the economy. Of course, this was one of the issues that the Populist Party had been addressing years earlier. This reform would remove control of monetary supply from banking trusts and put it in control of the government. So the Federal Reserve sets up a system of 12 national banks. It issues new currency, is responsible for controlling the money supply, and it can finance member banks. Today it is taken for granted because it's sort of an essential part of our economic system. And of course, this is a newspaper front page. It was a big deal when Wilson signed this act allowing the Federal Reserve. The second issue that Wilson takes on is trust busting. Major antitrust measures include establishing the Federal Trade Commission. Federal Trade Commission acts as a watchdog committee. It oversees trade in this country and investigates corporate practices if there is suspicious things going on, regulates them if need be. So under Wilson, the FTC issued 400 cease and desist orders to corporations for illegal activity. This was huge. He also promotes the Clayton Antitrust Act. This is a stronger version of the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890. It's a stronger law, it protects unions, and it prohibits companies from forming any kind of monopoly. And unlike the Sherman Antitrust Act, it has a little bit of oomph behind it, a little bit of muscle, can actually enforce the regulation of trusts. And Wilson is very serious about suffrage issues. Carrie Chapman Catt, who's the leader of the modern suffrage movement, is behind the NAWSA, which has branches all around the country and promotes suffrage for women. And some women actually were pulled towards more militant efforts, more violent and outspoken messages, and the NAWSA was a little bit more, I guess, positive, a little bit less militant. And they had a three-part strategy, and that was they wanted to pass state laws, they wanted to establish court cases to test the 14th Amendment, and push for a constitutional amendment giving women the right to vote. What ended up happening was, thanks to Carrie Chapman Catt and the NAWSA, women jumped in during World War I, filled jobs that men had left vacant when they went off to war, and really organized a lot of support for the war effort. This convinced legislatures that women were essential in the political process, that women's voices were important, that women's actions counted. And so this is when the Congress finally passes the 19th Amendment, which gives women suffrage, or the right to vote. The results of the progressive movement are that laissez-faire policy fades. Hands-off intervention is passé. Now the government moves towards intervention and regulation of business. Also, it promotes a more active president and more active citizens. The social reforms were established by many citizens and work to help women, immigrants, minorities, and the poor. Women now have the right to vote, thanks to the 19th Amendment. However, African Americans and other minorities are still virtually ignored. They don't receive a lot of attention during the progressive era. Wilson opposed federal anti-lynching laws, so that was a blow against African Americans. And also, he allowed federal buildings to be segregated. So this was actually, in a way, a step backwards from Roosevelt. World War I, of course, takes the focus away from reforms and internal issues of the United States and directs attention towards foreign affairs. So that's it for Wilson and his presidency. I look forward to seeing you in class.